Alright, let's get going with this very basic tutorial on modeling binoculars. The first thing we want to do is actually look at some binoculars. We've got an image search, and it brings up, well, a lot of different options. What we care about is, in terms of our modeling, we can see that we've kind of got this sort of teardrop shape here in the middle, and then lenses on the front and the back. And those lenses can be kind of short, or they can be very, very long. Now, since we're doing sort of fake spyware, the goal is to be kind of cool, and we can see that there's lots of interesting detail that we can add, like these stripes or these little grips. Colors, high-tech, yada, 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 lots of interesting things that we could do. There really isn't any wrong answer. I'm just going to have some fun and get started. And we're going to make that teardrop shape in the middle first. So I'm going to create, I'm going to grab a cylinder, and start here in the front, and then go back and get that sort of nice little shape. Now we actually want a couple of segments in the middle, so we want 1, 2, 3, 5. 5 will probably do it. And sides, 24. I mean, we're going to be seeing these things from the front, and we want it to feel round from the front, not pixelated, not all polygoned. So, 24 on the sides. Okay, let's hit Alt-W and blow up this preview window and go on to the next phase of our operation. And this little log shape looks about right. It might be a little bit too small, but it also might be just fine. Again, we're looking at this teardrop shape that we're seeing over here, and what we're about to do is manipulate this from the front view. So hit F and go to the front view, and we're going to make it like a teardrop. So we're going to right click, bring up this menu, convert to Editable Poly, and then we're going to grab a little more than the top and a little more than the side and go up and over. And then we're going to grab a little more from the side and go up and over. And it feels like we've got something happening right there that's a little bit weird, but that's really just the way this thing is being capped. When we go in and move this around, it will kind of fix itself a little bit. Alright. So let's go in and tweak these vertices a little bit to round them out, because we do want a teardrop shape. And again, I'm just kind of moving them in. We're moving them out. Eyeballing a little bit of extra roundness. And there we go. Kind of a teardrop. That works just fine. And the next thing that I think that I want to do is I'm going to grab the other side of this, and I'm going to use my soft selection tool and raise it up a little bit. Want to get the blue going into that little zone right there. I'm going to hit the R key, which will bring up scale, and grab that, just the sides, not the full one, just the, and scale it in. And I click on the back and bring it around so I can see it. Ooh, that's a bit much. Maybe blow it up a little bit. And now the important thing, hit the W key, brings up the move tool, and let's line this up. And ta-da, we've kind of got a little bit of an organic shape that fits our binocular needs. Feels like it's going to be a little bit long, so I'm also going to begin to move it in a little bit. Again, you go back to our reference images, and you can go back and, in some levels, some things you can stretch and change. Some things will be a kind of a pain in the ass. But that's roughly close, and it's not a big deal. Now the next thing I want to do is grab the front, and I'm going to press the control key and get the back until I've got both sides. I also am going to turn off soft selection, and I'm going to do 2 extrusions, or 2 bevels actually. And I'm going to use this tool, and I'm going to go 1 and -1, which looks like it's very big and thick, and I really don't want a big thick one. I want subtle. Whoops, that's not subtle. 0.5. And again, this is going to change. I mean, we didn't size up the original very well, so this is going to change for everybody. You don't really have to go by with my numbers. If you have the same value here and negative value here, you'll have a 45-degree angle. And I actually don't want 45 degrees. I actually want something a little bit different. And what I want is a little bit wider. So I'm going to take this value and do half and say OK, plus sign here, and hit the plus again, and then I'm going to go back in and say actually -6 and say OK. And so now we've got a nice sort of rounded edge for our binoculars. Next trick, let's do the main lens. So we're going to grab a cylinder, and I've got the auto grid selected. Auto grid will put things on a grid on the surface whatever we touch. So if I'm up here, it'll go like that, which is wrong. But if it's down here, it gets to be kind of useful. Okay. For starters, let's go to the front, because we want to see and kind of make this fit well into that side. And I drug out a little bit, maybe a little more than I wanted. Make that kind of subtle. And we don't want height segments. I mean, again, you don't need them right here because we're going to add them by hand. Again, let's go back to the front view, and let's actually move this. So I'm going to do the convert to editable poly first, right click, and then move this around and try to get it nice and centered up along that edge. And now we're going to go and have a little fun with extrusion, because it's an easy detail for us to add. So I'm going to go, oh, let's cancel that actually. I'm just going to freehand this for a little bit. Go in. Go out. Go up some. Some more. Straight. Out a bunch. Actually. And if you just go straight and don't move, you'll get a very straight look. And then I think what I want to do is add like a little cat piece. So I'm going to go out, in, up, out. And that's kind of rough. But remember what we did in the front here? Those numbers are actually important. And I think that to make things look good sometimes, when things repeat, when you have the same sort of bevels all over the place, it looks like you know what you're doing. So I'm going to go 2 and -2. Whoops. Point -2. I'm going to hit the plus sign. And then go -6. And then hit the plus sign one more time. Go 0, I think. No. Let's go -0.2 again. And this time 0 up top. And then we can just do another bevel. Actually, what did I just do? That's interesting. Cancel. Do bevel. Go in. And then we go out. A little out. Think about the surface of a balloon. Have that rounded off on the inside. Alright, this kind of works, but I'm going to go from the top view. If we want things to feel round, we put them in a smoothing group. But a smoothing group will smooth all these facets that we don't really want right now. So I'm going to go 1. And to see how all that kind of shines together, that's good. As for here, let's see. I think that we do probably just that. Smooth a group of 1. I'm going to grab these. Smooth a group of 2. And same deal here. You can also select one, then if you hit the shift key and select, it'll loop around. I'm going to do 2. And then select shift 4, that's fine. So in other words, now we've got some very rounded things there, and we can just do grow, That's all 1. That's all 2. So that's all good. All right. We want to repeat this for the back side. Go back here, and let's add in our backside cylinder. Go under Create, Cylinder, Auto Grid. Again, kind of want to get it like that. Oops. Hit the back key. I'm going to right click and convert it to Editable Poly. And then just move it into place. This is a little bit further out than I think I want. In fact, probably want to go and bevel in a little bit. So freehand bevel, in, straight, out, straight, in, out, straight, that. And basically I'm just adding detail. I'm really not trying too hard to be too specific. In fact, again, oops. Undo Z, my finger's slipping. Undo will bring us back. And again, just think about how a balloon goes. It kind of has a bigger arc here and a little less there. And again, here we've got facets that we need to deal with. So let's take a look at that. Also check on this. Oop. Yep, that should smoothing group 1 or 4. That should be in smoothing group 4. So let's actually select that. Make that 4. Select that. Shift. Make that in 4. And make that 4. If it has the same smoothing group as 2, it'll smooth everything together. Shift 4, Shift, oops, 4. You know what? I actually made this other one 4. I think I'm going to turn that back to 1, just to get a a little more of an edge. And then on this, well, I can hit the 6th key, which will clear up my selection, and then go in and select a bunch of these and do smoothing group 1, smoothing group 2, and select and just do that ring 1. Actually, let's go back in and get rid of that. 2. Oops. You hit the Q key while we're making our selection so we don't screw things up. Go 1. Go 3. Go 4. Again, something to play with. I want to actually make a quick shift to our materials just to get a better sense of things. And the 6 key, if I want to have a little more of an edge, shift select, change that to its own smoothing group. 6 key, it'll add a little more of an edge when we hit render. Hard to tell. Let's just say trust me. Alright. Next up, we want to do the bridge, and that's not too hard. I think I'm going to select 4 here, there, or 5. And smoothing groups, we want to get rid of that for a second. We don't want these things to feel smooth. We want the other stuff that's rounded to be rounded, but this stuff we want a little more of an edge. So that's that. Then we hit extrude. We go up once, and then twice, and then we can use the move tool, go down, and I'm going to press R, bring up the scale tool, top down key, and these things should be pretty much aligned. Whoops. As we go across, and you can begin to see, hey, this is where our symmetry will come in. And in fact, why don't we explore that just for a minute? I'm going to do select all, oops, hit the 6 key, and then do Control A, select all, do group, and then we will do the modifier for symmetry. And let's grab the mirror down there, the gizmo, then we want to grab the W key. W brings up the move tool. And that's funky but not right, so we want to flip it. And bring it over. And yeah, suddenly we have some pretty interesting looking binoculars. There's a lot more we can do. We can go back in and add detail. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Add detail to any of these little side pieces here. We can add the little tumbler, the little wheel here in the middle. Again, take a look at what we have. Lots of little interesting pieces, not very hard to do when you have that wonderful gift called the the auto grid. Why don't I show you though one quick trick though. Go back to create, cylinder, auto grid. We'll just select it right there in the middle. Bring it out. And we convert that to editable poly. So I convert that to editable poly. And if I do shift, wrap it around, and I do bevel, but right here, that's really kind of strange. What I want you to do though is go by polygon, and let's get this under control here. We don't really want -1. A very small amount. And in fact, let's get that just a little bit working. Okay, and we do again. Plus symbol. And suddenly we have that little wheel in the middle. And again, if we were more detailed, we could have this come across in other areas, yada yada yada, do other stuff. I mean, we still have the option of ungrouping this and doing more with these models again. I mean, don't let symmetry, make you feel like you should be stopped at any given point in time. I mean, you can go back in and select pieces. It gets to be a little confusing, so I'm just going to delete the entire thing and then do ungroup. But again, we can go in and do bevel. If you want, and suddenly there's some really cool details there. Also, if you didn't know this, got those selected. I'm going to go into the material editor, make a quick new material. If I've got those things selected, I can go back in and then grab that, and suddenly I have a slightly darker bit right there. So again, lots of interesting options. Have fun, play with this. This took me about 30 minutes or so. It's going to take you a bit longer, but have fun. All right?